Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another This Is Us review and recap. Hope you guys are doing awesome. So sorry that I missed you all last week. I actually recorded my This Is Us review and then the week just kind of got away from me and I forgot to post it. So if you happen to stick around after this video, feel free to go back and watch the Season 6 Episode 8 video entitled The Guitar Man, which I will be posting shortly. Hope you guys are doing amazing, and I would love to talk to you guys a little bit about this episode 9, entitled The Hill, which follows the beginning of the end of Kate and Toby's marriage. And I have a lot of feelings. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a controversial video, but bear with me. I'm still a This Is Us fan, hardcore since day one. And if you are too, please do me a favor and click the like button down below on this video and the subscribe button so that you can join me here for the rest of the season as we count down to the finale of This Is Us. Most importantly, if you haven't watched the episode and you do not want spoilers, do me a favor and like this video and come back to it later if you have a chance to watch, because I am going to be recapping the whole entire video and I'm going to be telling you all my thoughts about Toby and who's right, who's wrong, and why my opinion may be a little bit more controversial than most. Full disclaimer, I do live tweet along with hundreds of other fans, thousands of other fans while the show is going on. I am in a different situation than some because I do not have like a basic cable plan, so I actually have to stream this via my parents, thank you parents, login for their cable, because I have all of the streaming services but none of the like local services, and I don't have Peacock. Anyway, I say a lot to say that I missed the original first 5 minutes of the episode, although I feel like I'm completely caught up with what happened. But it's just interesting trying to watch it that way because there's a little bit of lag time. So I'd love to know how you watch This Is Us. Do you watch it on local cable? Do you have to stream it the next day? It's going to make it interesting for trying to watch the finale. I'm thinking about live streaming the finale, so let me know down below in the comments if you'd be interested in live streaming the finale with me. If enough people seem like they're interested in that, then that's something that maybe we can do together. I think that would be really fun to live stream the finale together and go over and express all of our shock with other This Is Us fans. Anyway, the episode starts. I'm not going to recap every minute detail, but we basically get a montage of Kate living her best life in LA without Toby. She's teaching the kids how to explore the neighborhood. She's teaching Jack all about the world they live in. She's doing well with her job. She seems really happy, and she's even bonding again with Madison. So all seems to be going well in the world of Kate, except for the fact that she does want to reconnect with Toby, and so she decides that she's going to go to San Francisco and spend the weekend with Toby. Toby seems like he's all on board as well, up until the crucial moment where he's supposed to plan to pick her up from the airport and he can't get off in time, so he's going to send a car. Strike one. She eventually arrives, gets to see his snazzy apartment with this gorgeous view of the city, but definitely looks like a bachelor pad. And it begs the question of how much money is Toby making that he's able to contribute to the household, pay for this apartment in San Francisco, and potentially be able to put money down. I'll talk about that in just a second. This is a lot going on, and it definitely seems as though at no stage in this process, and Toby has been gone and doing this for a while now, have they talked about navigating this long distance relationship. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because I have some personal experience with that on a marital level that might give some nuance to my take on this. Toby has all of these grand plans and grand gestures for what they're going to do in San Francisco, but Kate hasn't come to San Francisco alone. No. She has brought in her imagination old Toby, aka Big Toby. Chris Sullivan gets back into the fat suit and he becomes old life of the party, making jokes, having a good time. What we know is a mask for him, Toby. And this is the Toby that Kate seems to miss. And it's interesting, she's having full-on hallucinations about Toby. Now, this is all kind of like a nod to Fight Club, because her and Madison were watching Fight Club in the earlier scenes, and Madison finally figures out that Brad Pitt's character's not real, is not really there. Hello. And sorry for spoilers for anybody who's never seen Fight Club. They spoiled that one, but I guess they figured, hey, y'all had 30 years to watch Fight Club. If you hadn't watched Fight Club now, then sorry for you. It's an interesting thing to see them stumbling this way, because it just really seems like there's just such a lack of communication. And I saw so many people on Twitter kind of like bashing Toby. Toby, you're on the phone. Toby, you're doing this. Toby, yes, he's an IT manager in an upstart firm. So he has a job that is extremely busy, and it's a very difficult job to have with a family without having those conversations of like how you're going to navigate home life and work life and setting those boundaries, and how you set those boundaries with your job. And I don't think that he's had those, and I don't think Kate's had those. And in fairness, I don't think either one of them know that those are conversations that they need to have. I think Toby is kind of just running off of fear, because he's already lost one job, and this has been the thing that has rebuilt his self-esteem in himself, and so he doesn't know how to set up those boundaries. And it's something that takes a really, really, really long time, oftentimes in a career, to learn how to set those boundaries. Heck, I've been a teacher for 16 years, and I'm just now kind of learning how to not take so much work home and to get things done in school, and how to manage that time a little bit better. But it's taken me a long time to get here, and I don't have it perfect, but it's taken a long time to get here. Anyway, back to Kate and Toby. Kate finally is like, Toby, I don't want to do all of this. I just want to hang out with you. I just want to relax and enjoy the city and just go with the flow. And so he tosses out the plans, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna go with the flow. And so they tour the city. They get to ride the cable cars. They're walking around having a good time, laughing. It seems like they've finally gotten back to each other, except Toby is still taking some work calls. Strike two. Kate goes to make a phone call to the kids, and Toby's on the phone with work, and it's definitely like a disconnect. And you can kind of see in Kate's expression that she's taken a mental tally of every time he's failing. And it's kind of like she's looking for the evidence that he's checked out of their marriage, and that old Toby indeed is better than new Toby. Finally, they make plans to go to his boss's house. He's having a work party, and he's got to show up. It's his boss. And so he takes Kate, and he's excited to take Kate. Before they go, however, he tries to get a car. The car share cancels on them, and the house is up a hill. Now, by the looks of things, Kate had some like nice party kind of shoes on, not walking shoes. And she's like, well, can we just walk it? And he's like, well, no, because it's all uphill. At this point, we know that Toby has been running 5Ks, so it's not going to be an issue for him. Although I would imagine that even with walking uphill and in a nice outfit, you wouldn't want to show up to your boss's work thing sweaty. So we're supposed to read into it that it was a criticism on Kate's inability to walk up the hill. But it was also like, having been to San Francisco for all of 2 hours, like it's just not something that I would want to do ill-prepared, not in the right garments, and getting ready to attend a work function, and you're going to show up all sweaty. It's also just not a good look. Like, show up to a work function. It's not like you're going to hang out. Not like you're going bowling. You're going to a function with your employer at his house, at his really expensive house at that. So I just kind of felt like you could definitely see that Kate was taken as a judgment against her. And I don't know that Toby was really looking at it that way. This is one of those episodes that I really wish they had almost done like a side by side, and we got to see the interactions through both characters' eyes. By the way, shout out to Mandy Moore, who directed this episode, and Chrissy Metz, who got a writing credit on this episode. This Is Us is going for broke this season, making sure everyone gets an opportunity to do something, to get whatever it is that they want to get out of this experience. And I love that for them. I love that for them. And I think that that's such a smart thing, especially because you make good art, you want it to get recognized, but you never know how it's going to be received. And so this gives their whole entire cast a chance to build up their resume for the next big thing. And I think that's amazing. Anyway, they show up to the boss's shindig, and everybody knows Kate. Toby has been talking about Kate. I actually would have been really touched that everyone was like, this is Kate. Oh my gosh, we've heard so much about you and the kids. And I saw this picture and they knew the kids' names. I wish that would have meant a little bit more to Kate, that she would have seen that even though he's not there, he's still so proud of his family. I don't think that she really received that, especially once his boss lets the cat out of the bag that he had actually gotten a job offer in LA and he declined it. Kate goes outside, gets solace from old Toby, and then goes back in and is like, we're going, and we're going now. Now she all but causes a minor scene at his boss's house, but they leave, they go back home, and they have it out. It's not a good night. They talk about the lack of communication, the lack that Toby is basically making this life for himself away from his family, not considering the fact that Jack has needs, that he's learning the neighborhood, that he would have to get reacclimated to all of that. Toby has some good points too. It's talking about the amount of money that it may cost to give Jack the best life possible. And I saw some people talking about the ableism that Toby kind of was displaying in that scene. And I mean, definitely, yes. They are, okay, first of all, let's just be honest, like, their family. You've got a movie star in their family. You've got Randall, who is a politician in their family. So this is not a family that is divorced from capitalism and success and all those things. So there are a lot of people who were like crying, or not crying, but saying that Toby was being ableist by saying that he wanted to be able to perhaps give him like all kinds of just educational benefits and things of that nature, Braille, this and that and the third, and he might need this, and he might want to take special classes, and he might want to go to a private school. But that's also what parents, when they can afford to do better, they want to do better no matter what it is for their kids. Like we're doing with that right now. Like, is the school that they're in the best possible school? How can we get them exposed to this thing? How we want them to take music lessons if that's what they want to do, or at least to get exposed to it and have the choice to decline it. Not necessarily want to raise like a Venus and Serena, but by all means, if they want to be Venus and Serena, we'll, what do we need to do to get there? And so I could see both sides of their argument. I do think that after having it all out, I thought that they had reached a nice point where they had really talked about how happy they both were. Like they finally both felt fulfilled in their roles as in their career fields, even if they didn't feel fulfilled in their marriage. And Kate feels fulfilled as a mother, even though Toby may not 100% feel fulfilled as a father because he's not being able to do the things that he wants to do, ideally, especially because of his childhood was not as happy as Kate's. And I think that's a part of the puzzle that people keep missing, is that Toby didn't have the childhood that Kate had. Kate had literally the best possible parents on the face of the planet, has the best role models possible, and that makes her blind to the fact that other people are going to want to overcompensate for their lack thereof. So I just threw that out there. But Toby makes the worst possible decision. He wakes up the next day and is just like, man foot down, you and the kids need to make plans to come here. That is what is best for our family, is us being together, and that's what's got to happen. Oh, it's the worst thing he could have done. Kate decides to leave, and she goes outside, and she decides to tackle the hill that they were going to walk up, or that she wanted to walk up the day before. And she does it. Snaps, snaps, snaps. Kate walked up the hill because it wouldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been me. I would have been looking like, can we get an Uber? Can we get a cable car? Can we find a bike? No. I don't do hills because I'm like Humpty Dumpty. I'm roll down the hill. But she made it up the hill and then gets a phone call from Mr. British man talking about checking on her and everything, and she wants to know if the job that was open is still available because she wants to put her hat in the ring, is what she says. Now the flashback sequences were really cute this week. We got a chance to see Jack with little Kate as she struggles to put her face in the water, and she never does. And of course that's parallel with the fact that she doesn't have the confidence in herself to do it, even though he's telling her everyone else thinks you can do it. You just have to know you can do it. And the problem is everyone else has always known that Kate can do it, but Kate has never known she can do it. And this is the first time in her life that she knows that she can do certain things. I think this is why I personally have been like wishing so hard that we would get more backstory for the married into Pearsons, like Toby and Beth and Miguel, because it's a parallel. Like, just like Jack's telling Kate, you have to have confidence in yourself. Everyone else believes in you, but you don't. The same thing could be said for Toby. Like, Toby believed so hard in Kate when they first met, right? He believed so hard. He went hard for her, and everybody needs to talk about those grand gestures. But he did that, and he was overcompensating for the lack of confidence he had in himself. Now that he finally has confidence in himself, not just because he's lost the weight, but because he's working in a field where he knows what he's doing, and he's happy and healthy and taking care of himself and doing things he's always wanted to do, he feels fulfilled. It's the same thing. And I think it's at this juncture where they could split and it could be amicable because it's the best thing for them. I have a feeling that This Is Us writers are not going to let it be that easy, especially since we know that something is going to go on with the big green egg that is going to probably be Toby's fault, and it's going to cause the dissolvement of their family, or be like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was almost okay. I'm almost really okay with the way that this episode ended if they're both just fulfilled in themselves, right? Excuse me. I don't think that this is a he's wrong, she's right. This episode actually put me on Kate's side for once, and I've not been on Kate's side since season 1, episode 5. I'm gonna tell you. So on that note, it made me kind of appreciate what Kate was going through, because there's insecurities on both their parts. I do think that Kate is insecure about the fact that Toby moved on without her, right? And kind of in many ways left her behind and succeeded where she couldn't, in some aspects, because they started that journey together. I do think she's resentful of that in some aspects. I do think that it's both their faults as a married couple that they didn't hash out the plans. Like, when at one point she asked him how much was the job offer, how much was the job offer, and the difference between that offer and how much he gets paid with his job. Again, how much is he making at this job? He's gotta be making at least $250, at least $250K. I can't imagine there's any way in the world that he is managing to maintain a life in San Francisco and support a family that is living in LA while his wife is working a part-time teacher assistant position. Like, I can't imagine a world in which they're able to do that successfully. So he's got to be making like upwards of $250K, maybe $2, but at least $250, at least. I left off one of the most important parts of the show, which was the house. Toby takes her by this house, right, that he wants to buy so that they can relocate, which does show he's been thinking about them. But you don't look at a house without your spouse, or put in a loan application without your spouse's approval. They're just both moving in different directions when not checking in with each other. Having had some experience with, like, my husband getting a job and needing to, and us making the decision that, okay, this job is going to afford us more opportunities. So you go ahead and lay the foundation while I wrap things up here, and then I will join you. There doesn't seem to have ever been a conversation that they had about how long this job was going to last, how temporary it was going to be. Was it just a stepping stone to the next job? What? They haven't had any conversations about that. And it's just so unrealistic that that they wouldn't have discussed that, except for the fact that there were problems before this. Like, this is not the impetus of their problems, that there's other things going on. And it's just, it's so sad. I would like to think that they could end things friendly, but the flash forwards don't give me a whole lot of confidence. But maybe the writers will find a way to fix it, and retroactively make them like friends at the end. But the fact that Toby seemed so uncertain about being invited over to be with Rebecca at the end of her life makes me think that they hadn't figured out a way to reconcile that they're all going to be still family with all of this going on. And there's a lot that has to happen between now and the end, because not only do we have to have the dissolution of Toby and Kate's marriage, but we also have to have Kate falling in love with her boss and him becoming her future husband, unless there's something that we're missing. And unless there's something that we're missing, but I don't think we are. It seems like we have all the pieces for at least this Toby and Kate puzzle piece. But so it's just sad. But I do think that, I guess my controversial take is that I don't think you can blame Toby or Kate. I think that Kate can be wrong for fighting against the change that has happened in Toby and not celebrating his victory and working to support that. I think Toby can be wrong about making the decisions for the family without consulting Kate. And both of them are trying to put their own happiness above the happiness and the well-being of the family, instead of figuring out how they can be their best happy selves together. I do think it's fair to say, if you can't be your best happy self with someone, that's a toxic relationship and you don't need to be together. But it doesn't seem like they really sat down and tried to figure out. It's like everybody's just trying to play hungry hippo and grab as much as they can, instead of figuring out how they can share it. So that's my controversial take. It was a great episode though. Sad, extremely sad, but great episode. The funniest thing about the flashbacks is that in the pool, everybody's like, where is Randall? And Randall's just off. You know, Kevin and Kate are both struggling to swim. They showed Randall for a hot second. He's just off in the middle of the pool, swimming all by himself. I definitely think as a preview for next week, we're really getting Randall as this self-sufficient person who feels like he has to be self-sufficient in order to hide how he feels, and in order to be seen as valuable. His value lies in him being self-sufficient and handling problems. Everyone's working toward resolving some of those early deep-seated childhood wounds. Kate is her confidence. Kevin is his need to be the best and to be seen, but also his desire for love. Randall is letting others help him, is being vulnerable and allowing others to help. And I don't mean vulnerable in the way that we've seen Sterling K. Brown cry in this role, but vulnerable by letting others help him. And so I think we're going to get that. We're going to get a knockdown, drag out with Deja and Malik next week. So I'm nervous and scared for what is going to happen between this daughter-father dynamic that they've built up in this short amount of time. And is it sustainable? We do know that they are hugging and loving each other in the flash forward. So that gives us hope. Again, I kind of feel like it's bait to keep us going so that we don't get too bogged down in depression as we see the dissolutions of all these relationships, knowing that some of them work themselves back out, and that we do have happier people, happier Pearsons at the 3-year time jump, and then later on like the 10-year time jump. So there is that. There's hope. Keep hope alive, people. All right, so let me know what you thought down below in the comments about this episode. Were you team Toby or were you team Kate? And what do you guys think about that whole live stream thing? Let me know what you think below in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video that came out real country. Toodles.